All righty. Thanks for joining me today, Glen. Glen's our team member spotlight for this month. And Glen is a professional services implementation engineer on the professional services team. And Glen, you were nominated and chosen this month for going above and beyond and exceeding expectations with your work on T-Mobile. Says the work you've done has given the customer sustained engagement, has directly increased revenue, and T-Mobile themselves has provided excellent feedback on you and your work with them. And Nico too was just like, kind of weighed in and was like, Glen's doing great work here. He's a trusted advisor. You're really results oriented and a self-starter, which is exactly what T-Mobile wants and needs. So thank you so much for your hard work on that account and everything else. And thanks for joining me here today.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in dog world today. We have all of our little fur children up on our backgrounds, which is fun. So I wanted to just kind of start off and not get too, I'm looking at the cuteness a lot, but wanted to just kind of jump into the first questions and just introduce yourself a little bit to the team and those folks who may not know you as well, and tell us a little bit about where you live, how long you've been at GitLab, everything like that.
So my name is Glen Miller. I'm living in Renton, Washington, which is just a little bit outside of Seattle, Washington. I've been with GitLab just over a year, started in June of 2019, the very, very beginning of June, as a matter of fact. So
congratulations on a year.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a crazy year. So at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so your role as an implementation engineer, can you just explain a little bit more about kind of what you do in that role, specifically what accounts or teams you support?
So the professional services engineer, we have quite a wide array of things that we do. For the first few months I was here, I was working primarily on migrations of customers to .com. We've done a lot of onboarding self-hosted customers as well. And since March of this year, I've been an embedded engineer at T-Mobile, working primarily on helping them spin up their Windows runners, some custom API calls to some of the Elasticsearch indexing work, and just general backlog implementation work with them specific to GitLab itself. So wide range of things that we take care of in professional services.
Yeah, absolutely. A long laundry list there. So keeping you busy for sure.
Forgot the training too, on customer training as well. So we can do it for you.
So you're not that busy.
Yeah, no, we have nothing going on. We're really not.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. And in your nomination, you were specifically called out for results, for exhibiting our values of results and iteration and collaboration and transparency. So like mostly all of them. So I wanted to just talk to you about a little bit about what do those values mean to you? How do you kind of embrace those and embody those in your day-to-day work?
I think for me, especially when you're working embedded with a customer, the results are a big piece of that. Just being able to understand what they need from you and being able to deliver on that, and to understand very concisely what those goals are, and to come to that agreement and deliver on those goals in a timely fashion. T-Mobile in particular has been very, very challenging sometimes to kind of come to that agreement, but we've gotten there and been able to kind of keep that drive forward.
Yep. No, that makes sense. And so, kind of on the transparency, and I know, like that's one that everyone here kind of embraces, but can you talk a little bit more about that value too, and how you really embrace that?
Sure. The transparency in this particular engagement is really just means no surprises. Understand what the customer wants, be able to deliver that back to the team. And that communication between the GitLab side of things and acting as that trusted advisor, not only to T-Mobile, but to your own team to a degree as well. We were kind of in between in that communication point, and being able to say, hey, on both sides, there's no surprises here. Let's be transparent about where we're at, what we're doing, and what the roadmap is for T-Mobile as far as their goals and how we can help them succeed, but also transparent from a GitLab standpoint about, hey, here's what our roadmap looks like, and here's how we're going to try to support you as an enterprise customer. And I think even when they haven't necessarily been happy about it, all of our customers across the board from that enterprise standpoint are always very happy when we're transparent and honest with them about, hey, we understand what your priorities are. Here's what our roadmap looks like. Maybe it's not immediate that we're going to get to these, but here's where they're coming from, and here's how we can help support you until then, and here's how we can help you get to those things faster.
Yep, absolutely. And that transparency, I'm sure, just helps really even further that trust and engagement that they have back with us. So it's reciprocated, I'm sure. And I see here in our questions, and I was reading through the handbook yesterday, just kind of perusing around, and I saw this interesting thing under iteration and the credit values. It was like, everyone said, a lot of people when they come to GitLab say like, oh yeah, I can iterate, or I iterate, like that's a strength of mine, but they don't really kind of know what it means till they get here. And it is a little bit uncomfortable for people at times. And so I'm just because it's on my mind, I'm interested of, since this was a value that you were called out for, how do you embrace that iteration value in your work?
It's difficult sometimes, even having practiced it for as long as I have. I've been doing it for a long time. Mm-hmm. You have a tendency as an engineer to want to solve a problem, and the size of that problem can be gigantic depending on how you decided to wrap your brain around it. So stop trying to boil the ocean. It's a little easier with T-Mobile because they do practice a small batch principle themselves. So it's very, very similar to minimum viable change for us, what we do and what we practice and adhere to at GitLab. So it's really just get that bare minimum out first, get that proof of concept for that thing that just kind of proves out that yes, we could do this, and then iterate over time. So you're not disappearing for a month and a half to deliver a thing. You're just saying, hey, here's that first little bit, and just keep going on that and communicate. And it all kind of comes together into that collaboration, communication, transparency. Be very honest about what this piece is. This is what we're trying to do. We can prove this out. Build on that if you want to, or don't continue on it, because sometimes that decision means you don't continue and you save that time.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point that, these values don't exist really in silos, right? Like they all kind of work together and work to further each other when they're combined. So that's an interesting point.
Exactly.
Yeah. So okay. So diving in a little bit more about like what would you say is the best thing about your job and what you get to do every day?
Well, it was work from home until everyone started doing it, which it's like, well, that's maybe
not as cool anymore.
It was. I think sometimes it is important we step back and say that and see that we were very, very fortunate when things kind of came down the way they did with COVID, et cetera, that we were already well established work from home company. We were already in that. For quite a few of us, our day-to-day didn't change. And I think it's important for us to step back for a second and say, hey, we were lucky. We had a benefit here. And so that's a great thing. Kind of a more specific standpoint, I work with an incredible team. They're very supportive. Any one of us can reach out on a team channel and say, hey, does anyone have experience with XYZ? Because we all understand it as engineers that we won't all have all the answers all the time. So we really do lean on each other and leverage each other a lot. Working for that team at a company that has a product I believe in and values transparency and has a set of goals that they adhere to that I really believe in as well. It's all been really good. I think that's not just one best thing, but I think the overall package of working at GitLab has been incredible.
That's awesome. And on the flip side of that, does something come to mind when you think of like what's the most difficult part of your day-to-day job?
I think for me, it's just been a little bit of the isolation. It's true there have been points in my career in my life where I've had like an office and I've shut the door and gone away for a while to go do some work. And it's not so much the work from home aspect of that isolation, but kind of this being a solo engineer on a customer engagement. There are times it's very difficult, even with that interaction back and forth on a team Slack channel, of feeling like part of the team, because you feel like there are things like, okay, am I going to be ramped up when I come back? Am I going to understand all this when I come back? So there's a little bit of that isolation there that we've been trying to deal with. And I would say sometimes even the variety, as exciting as it can be, is also the most challenging part, because you're bouncing from one technology or one skill set. You're swapping hats constantly. Today I'm going to write some code. Tomorrow I'm going to do some finances. Today, the day after that I'm going to do some trainings. And so you're just going to constantly going through this big circle of trying to remember who you're supposed to be today.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which hat are you putting on when you're walking into the home office this morning?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I'm sure, I know I can relate to both of those, and I'm sure a lot of people here can too. So that's definitely fair. And so, okay, so not to talk about work the whole time, to kind of get into a little bit more about you. And I feel like I have to stray away from our questions and asks. I feel like people who are watching are going to be curious. You have to introduce the cute fur balls running around in your video behind you, because people are going to want to know.
So if you can see behind me, I'll slide out of the way just briefly because they're hiding under a tree right now in the video. But the larger one is Apollo.
Good name.
He is actually a Dobie Doodle mix, strangely enough. He's
I hope you
none of
do.
the things they said he was when I adopted him, in other words.
Yep.
And the smaller one, that is Maisel. She's only a year old. Apollo's almost 7. Maisel is a Dachshund Chihuahua mix, I believe. So yeah, so she runs around in circles like lightning, and he lumbers along behind her, and that's about how the day goes.
That is
And
awesome. And those
they're
are great names too.
they're both Seattle Humane Rescues. I volunteer at the Humane Society when they're open, which they're not on right now,
Hmm.
unfortunately. So they are both rescues from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know we talked about this before, but mine is Archie. He's about to be 5 months old and he's already 45 pounds. So he's quickly advancing on Apollo status. So I might
Yeah,
have to fly him up to Seattle from Texas and have them tire each other out.
they have them lumber about the yard together. That'd be good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
He's gonna
love
be a
those.
big guy.
They're
Yeah, they're
awesome.
ridiculous. They're ridiculous.
Half the
We
size.
saw exactly a neighbor stopped the other day. She's like, "What's on his head? Oh, those are his ears." Yeah.
What you
He's
think they
not
do?
wearing a hat. Yeah, exactly. So he's a good guy though. Okay, thank you. I had to stop for that because I knew people were going to be curious.
Mm.
So what's a going back into our questions? What's an interesting fact that a lot of people don't know about you?
Um, so through college, and actually initially when we went to college, I was considering medicine actually as one of my side as one of the things I
Hmm,
was medicine, music, and tech. Strange combinations, I know, but
very interesting.
or professional golfer. Those were like the 4 big ones at the time. So so in college, I was actually a nursing assistant in a dialysis unit, inpatient dialysis unit. So I spent four
Wow.
years working in a dialysis unit. And that's how I paid for my college. Lived with family, and then use that to pay for books, tuition, that kind of thing, and pizza, of course, the important things. Um,
Obviously. Yeah.
and so that's how I spent those 4 years. That's how I paid for college. It was as a nursing assistant in dialysis unit.
That's awesome. And you just kind of decided that the tech world was better for you, or what was it? How did you make that decision?
Uh, yeah, I think it just kind of that's just the one I kind of gravitated towards for whatever
Yeah.
reason. It just that
Hmm.
was the one that seemed to hold my focus more. It was easier for me to spend, lose track of a day just diving into a tech problem than anything else. So
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And so, what are you in this crazy COVID world right now? What are you into besides us talking about our rescue pups all day, which I could do all day? What other
like
things are you into?
this right here, sitting on the back porch and watching the dogs play.
That's awesome.
So I've been a video gamer my entire life since I was 10, probably, if not younger than that. So,
Hmm.
most of my close friends to this day that I've known for years are people I've met through video games, things like that. So,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, right now I have a very short attention span with those things. So, if I don't finish a video game in a month, I pretty much never finish a video game. So, it's pick it up, touch it for a couple weeks, and then never look
Yep.
at it again. But that's still what I spend my recreational time on
Nice.
when I'm not, watching TV with the girlfriend. So,
Yeah.
it's the
Are
other
y'all
one.
watching anything good right now? Any good shows?
Well, I'm catching her up on some of the old sci-fi stuff. So
Ah,
we're almost done with the Deep Space Nine watch through right now for you Star Trek fans out there. I
yep.
think I'm gonna start her on season 1 of Firefly next. So some of you will get that, some of you will cry over that, but and we'll
You have
see
a
what happens.
laundry list, a
Yeah,
laundry
there's
list of shows
a
for her.
pretty long list of things that we'll get through. So there's no shortage right now.
Got no shortage of time either, so that's
Uh,
perfect time to do it. Okay, awesome. So, and to close us out, I always try to do a fun icebreaker question of the month. So this month, what is the craziest thing on your bucket list?
so recently just went skydiving. That was actually one of the ones that was on there. My
Ooh.
youngest son just turned 18, and his birthday present was a skydive trip. So he wanted to do that, and he said, "Do you want to go with me?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I can't really use that one anymore as the craziest thing. I think after that I'll go. I've always wanted to try the wing suit flying. So, you know,
Yeah.
which is like you have to be able to skydive to do that because that's how you land basically. You skydive unless you do water. They can do water landings and crazy stuff sometimes, I think, but being able to do that
Sounds
one where you're
scary.
actually just gliding along, hugging a mountain face or something like that sounds pretty cool. So that might be
Ooh,
next.
you're
There's a
brave.
lot, yeah, there's a lot of training involved with that though, so we'll see if we ever get to that. But
That's awesome. And skydiving was a would recommend activity. Did you have fun?
skydiving was great, yeah. Yeah, I
That's
can.
awesome.
One of my other Zoom backgrounds is my skydiving video. So
Ah, very cool. All right. Well, we'll have to do that next time. We'll have to do another video and just watch you skydive, and you can narrate for us the whole free fall.
yeah, a lot of me just screaming and into a camera. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Well,
right.
that's awesome. Well, I've always said that, yeah, I really want to go skydiving, but I know that like someone's gonna have to push me out of the plane once I get up there. I know myself. Like I'll be all into it, and then as soon as those doors open, I'm gonna be like, why? Why would I do
Dude,
that? Yeah.
I'll be honest. It's really just that first initial plunge, that maybe 3 seconds, if
Yeah.
that, and then after that, it's just the ride of a lifetime. It's great.
Nice. Well, maybe we can submit that as a SCO activity, just team skydiving, good team building. So
Yeah, they do it. Oh, yeah, great.
that's awesome. Well, hey, Glenn, thank you so much. It was great getting to know you better today, and definitely thank you for all the hard work you're doing, not only on T-Mobile but with all our other customers. And I know the team really appreciates you. So thanks for everything. Congrats.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's good to meet you too, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, Glenn. Talk to you soon.